Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. For those of you who are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Gia. So today's video will be about intuition. I have spoken about intuition on this channel in the past. You can click on the link below. Intuition, from my journey, it's been really about training myself to hear my intuition as intuition by spending more time alone. So a lot of people spend time tuned into something else other than themselves. So they're tuned into TV shows, tuned into certain types of music, tuned into certain belief systems that may not really resonate with them so much. They're tuned into constantly needing to be with other people, hang out with other people, even though there might not be so much growth in those relationships. So those are ways that we kind of get away from tuning into ourselves and, in a way, fear of being alone. And this really distracts people from being able to hear themselves, essentially their intuition. So for my journey, the more I have started to spend time alone, I've begun to realize that my intuition is speaking all the time. And sometimes it does take some practice to be able to differentiate between when it's my intuition speaking and when it's my mind speaking. So intuition to me is more like this quiet, bold voice within me that kind of comes immediately to me without any chance for me to think through it or discern or judge, which one's better or not. It's just kind of, it just comes through me. Some people hear it in their ears, some people hear it, or some people would see it, like they would visualize it. It comes in many different forms. Whereas when our mind is speaking, it usually comes from the ego-based mind. So it can be some judgmental minds, or sometimes we do hear our intuition and then our mind kicks in saying that, oh, maybe that's not the right way to go, or maybe this one is better, So it's constantly kind of making you decide between options. So that's usually when our mind is interfering. So usually our intuition comes immediately in a way. Again, I do think that it needs some practice in order to be able to differentiate between the two. One way that I've really practiced hearing my intuition was by taking action. So when I get an intuition to click on a certain video, for example, to watch, or if I get an intuition to read this book, even though I had a plan on reading that book, then I would just do it and see what happens. And usually when I follow that intuition, it would really bring me to a place where I grow in depth, very spiritually, emotionally, whatnot. So it's about testing things out as well. So again, intuition comes from the heart. This inner knowingness. So intuition can come in different forms. Like I said, sometimes it comes as a little voice that I can hear within me. Sometimes it would come through music lyrics. I might be having a question about something, and then the lyric that I listen to just kind of comes up and it just resonates with the answer to my question. Sometimes it comes through our relationship. So I might hang out with someone and that person might just give me an idea or an answer just immediately. Sometimes it's not even the person directly answering my question, but I would just somehow, something would just click inside of me. Those are some ways. Sometimes intuition comes in numbers, those number sequences, and it comes in so many different ways. Sometimes for me, I might be just walking and on the side of my view, I notice a book and it's a book that I hadn't picked up on for a long time, and I just noticed it, and then I just kind of take a moment to say, okay, why did I kind of spot that book? Maybe there's something there. Maybe let me try reading that book and see what happens. And 100% for me, when I do that, I have really gained something from that experience. So it's not just about listening to it, but acting on it, which is a very, very important part. So it's all about the experience of tuning into the intuition and experiencing what that brings out for you. So intuition is a word, and I believe a lot of people associate the word in very different ways. But to me, it simply means tuning into my higher self, or my more expanded consciousness. So some people like to call it the wise person within. Some people call it the intuition. Some people call it the guide. Some people would call it messages, however you want to call it. I know that in psychotherapy, when I teach about DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy, intuition is kind of referred to as the wise mind. So it's like a combination of the emotional mind and rational mind becoming a wise mind. So that's one way to look at it too. But to me, it really works well to use the word intuition or receiving guidance. It really resonates well for me. So it's also important to find something that kind of works for you personally, so there's no level of resistance within you in hearing your intuition. So intuition can also unlock a lot of things within us. When we make decisions to follow our intuition and act upon it, it usually takes us to places where we might experience some emotional release, something that needed to be released, and it just comes up, and it might be painful, it might be just simple release of different various kind of emotions, yet it would lead us to a place of letting go, which in hand takes us to another level of spiritual growth. It can also allow us to notice our subconscious patterns. So our intuition can also lead us to recognize some of our patterns that we have in our life. So, you know, some people might be making the same mistakes over and over again and not know why that they're making that mistake, right? Some people might be living with the same belief system every single day for decades, and you know, sometimes intuition can kind of guide us to realize those kind of patterns, to allow us to kind of click so that we can move on to a different way of thinking or have a more expanded way of looking at the world around us. On a higher level, it can also unlock our soul's memory within us. So recently I was called to watch this YouTube video, and I just took a moment and I was like, okay, I noticed it, maybe there's something there, my attention is going there, let me just kind of listen to that and click on that video. And it was a pretty long video, I think about 45 minutes video, which also, again, it did not feel like that at all, because time is such an illusion. It really clicked something within me, and it brought so much emotion. It was very emotional experience for me in a very positive way, and it really unlocked a memory within me that I had forgotten. And so these are some ways of how powerful intuition can be. Well, actually, how powerful following our intuition can be, because it's constantly speaking to us. And again, however you want to interpret the word intuition, it's essentially about tuning into yourself, being able to listen to yourself on a physical, on a psychological, on a mental, on an emotional, and on a spiritual level. So I really was called to make a video about this, I believe my video on this previously talks a little bit more depth about how to develop our capacity to listen to intuition and what intuition is. So if you are curious about that, you can click on the link that I'll put below or click up there as well. So I hope this message was helpful for you in some way. If you have any questions, let me know. Ask in the comment section, message me. I will put my link as usual. And until then, I will see you next time. Thank you.